Welcome to the Downtime from WTWH Media with your hosts, Sarah Wynn and Sheri Kasprzak, bringing you everything you need to know from the week in manufacturing.
Gather in. We're back for another episode of The Downtime, WTWH Media's weekly manufacturing podcast. I'm one half of the Downtime Divas, Sarah Wynn, also known as the Senior Editor Digital for Packaging OEM, here with my tag team partner,
Sheri Kasprzak. I am the Managing Editor of Automation and Controls here at WTWH Media, and welcome to another episode of The Downtime. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you, Sheri. You know, I just got back from the Lil Wayne concert, so there are no ceilings on this episode. We are ready to rock and we are ready to roll.
I'm so excited because this is going to be a great episode. We are talking about vinyl records today, and if you're wondering how vinyl records fit into engineering and packaging, just wait because we have a great interview on deck for you. But I'm going to hand it over to Sarah to talk about the week in packaging OEM.
Before we get started, Sheri, I want to give a little shout out. The hat I'm wearing today is courtesy of Stephanie Neal. It's for the Dingy Food Truck. If you're in Scituate, Massachusetts, or the surrounding area, check it out. It's run by Stephanie's daughter, Katie. Thank you guys for sending me this hat. I'm very happy and proud to wear it on the Downtime.
I love it. It's a great hat.
I think I look nice in like the little snapback look, don't you think?
I like it. It's very early aughts trucker hat. I love that look.
Yeah, it's, flip it around just so you can get the full vibe.
I love it.
So this week in Packaging OEM, we have a awesome story. Sheri, it's not every day I get to write about reality TV, Kentucky basketball, co-packing, and distilling ambitions, and it's all in one story.
That's crazy.
It's a Sarah Wynn special, so you can check this out at packagingoem.com. It is Coldwater Distilling Company. They are running a co-packing line to fund their dreams for distilling ambitions. This line has equipment from notable OEMs, also has robotics from Fanuc. Those OEMs include Multi-Conveyor, DMM Packaging, Invenia, Domino North America, Hermes, Tripack, and Hamrick Packaging Systems. So for this story, I spoke with Jordan Hamrick and John Burleson, and it's a great story. Not only does it have all the packaging tie-ins I mentioned, but this specific venture was founded after a reality TV camera crew came to film at John's facility in Dandridge, Tennessee. So, Sheri, I know you saw the story. Anything you might want to add?
That's just wild. I mean, it seems like it's got all the elements of a really crazy sort of reality series in and of itself. So I'm excited to learn more about the story, and I'm sure we can find it over at Packaging OEM, and we can link it here as well.
Yes. We'll for sure link it, and I do want to include the distilling equipment. Plenty of it. There's images for all of the packaging equipment, all of the distilling equipment, which was provided by Specific Engineering Solutions. So here are the insights from Jordan at packagingoem.com. We'll share this on the Downtime social media as well.
Sounds great. So, something that you might know about me, Sarah, is that I am a longtime collector of vinyl records, or as we say in New England, records.
Records.
So, that's why this upcoming interview was so appealing to me. I noticed something on Atlantic Packaging's LinkedIn. It was a story about Memphis Record Pressing. And so my antennae went up, and I said, I need to know more about this partnership that's going on between Memphis Record Pressing and Atlantic Packaging. So, I dug in a little deeper, tried to get some people on board to chat with us. I know you helped out with that as well, Sarah. And we put together this amazing interview with Brandon Sievers. He's the co-founder and CEO of Memphis Record Pressing. Austin Burke, he's the packaging and logistics manager. And Nick Ott, who is the automation group and strategy liaison over at Atlantic Packaging. I think it came together really well. Just being able to see how such a manual process as vinyl record making has been automated on the packaging line. That was such a really cool aspect of the story. Automation is something that we talk a lot about here at the Downtime and over on all of our publications at Packaging OEM, at Plant Engineering, Control Engineering, and Consulting Specifying Engineer. We talk a lot about automating processes, and it was really cool to chat with Brandon, Austin, and Nick about how they've managed to automate Memphis Record Pressing's production line.
Definitely, and I want to include that their shrink wrapper uses sustainable materials. It's a very interesting conversation. Vinyls are really collectible, and it's critical that this packaging protects the vinyl and the collectible element of it. So thank you, Sheri, yes, for introducing that. And I do want to add that they worked with several different OEMs, and you can hear that all in the interview. But we had a great time speaking with Austin, Nick, and Brandon.
Absolutely. Yeah. So great conversation. Why don't you have a listen to our conversation with Memphis Record Pressing and Atlantic Packaging? It's a great collaboration that happened there and a great conversation. So take it away.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Downtime. Sheri, Kasprzak, and I are here with Memphis Record Pressing's Austin and Brandon. Hello, Austin, Brandon. Welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Austin, Brandon, could you just give us a little background on yourselves before we dive into our questions?
Sure thing. I'll let Austin go first since A comes before B. How about that?
All right. Austin Burke. I hold the operations manager role at Memphis Record Pressing, primarily overseeing our packaging and logistics operations. Been with the company for about 3 years, just over 3 years actually, and have a background in just like third-party logistics, warehousing, and have been absolutely pleased to be a part of this team.
Awesome.
Well, hey, everybody. My name is Brandon, and I am co-founder and CEO of Memphis Record Pressing. So I've been here since the beginning, since 2014 when we spun this up. We started up out of another company called Audiographic Masterworks. We were a manufacturer of CDs and DVDs. So we went from the optical media world into the vinyl record pressing world. So we went backwards in time. I am a lifelong musician and maker and creator of cool things. And so that's what I do and who I am.
That sounds great. We also have with us today Nick Ott. He is with Atlantic Packaging. Nick, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Sheri. So Nick Ott, so with Atlantic Packaging, I've been here for about 10 years now and working in the packaging automation space in that realm. Today, I help drive our sales strategy and project execution for various automation projects from single piece projects all the way to fully integrated lines, bringing things together. So.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. So let's kick us off. If y'all could tell me a little bit about the history of Memphis Record Pressing, and this is kind of a two-part question. Tell me a little bit about why a company that relies kind of so heavily on manual processes decided to automate with Atlantic Packaging.
Sure. So Memphis Record Pressing, again, was founded in 2014, and we really birthed the company out of the desire to meet the needs of a growing market. The vinyl industry had started to a resurgence back in 2007, 2008. We keep our ear to the ground, and we're hearing some rumblings of things going on. And so we stumbled into a world where there was nothing new. There was very little automation. There was no new equipment. There was no new supply chain. There was no new anything in this industry when we stepped in 2014. And so we had to start with old antiquated equipment. We had to start with old antiquated guys and girls that actually knew how to operate that equipment. And really, we were reviving this industry from the dark ages. As the industry has grown, really, as it has exploded over the past few years, one of the key things that's happened is new equipment has come on to the market, and we now have new pressing machines. The process by which a record is made has not changed in 75 years. And while we don't have any desire to try to change the process, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, we decided what we could do is look at everything surrounding that process of making a record. And that's where the automation comes into play. So not only do we have new PLC controlled, computer automated presses that are pressing the records now. We are highly focused on packaging and everything that can be automated on that side. So that's really where Atlantic came into be, where we came into that partnership with Atlantic. We're saying, how can you guys help us automate everything that surrounds the pressing of the record? And that's where Austin comes in, because Austin came over with a background in running a logistics facility that used a lot of automation. And so he brought his expertise and his experience into something that was antiquated, and how can we surround that with a modern equivalent of the packaging and the manual work had been done in the past. So Austin might have a little more to speak about just the Atlantic partnership and the packaging side.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, whenever I got here a little over 3 years ago, at this point, we had some fairly aged machinery on the floor, primarily just the shrink wrap machines that we were using at the time. And so through the help and the coordination with Atlantic Packaging, we were able to source equipment and find a solution, an engineered solution that would help us really automate the shrink wrap specifically on that side of the business. So getting each unit or getting each vinyl inside of that shrink wrap, getting any sort of like marketing or swag sticker on the outside, and then also on our corrugated and our packing of those units into boxes as well. Those are all things that we have worked with Atlantic on to try to automate some of those processes, which just a few years ago were done mostly by hand.
Could you share a little timeline about when you started working with Atlantic?
So I think our partnership with Atlantic preceded my tenure at MRP by about a year or so, if I had to guess. So around 2021 would be, I guess what I would say is when the kind of relationship started. And they came along, and I think we maybe did some business with Atlantic for some like consumable items. They helped stock our packaging floor for things that we needed to use just in the packaging process. But through conversations, we realized that, as an organization, they had a lot of experience in finding solutions to the things that we were trying to, solve for here as well. So through the collaboration over those years, we were able to design, what is, the layout and the automated equipment we have on the floor now. So worked with, some of the engineering team, some of the design team, and then Atlantic helped us find, the right OEMs for the equipment that we're looking for. Yeah, around about 4 years, I think, has been the working relationship. So.
Okay. Would you be able to share any of the OEMs you worked with?
So I know, and maybe Nick can speak up on this one, but I know we've got with the advanced machinery, or Garrido, for our shrink wrappers, and we decided to go with Combi for our automatic case packers. We have Wexars for pallet wrappers and case sealers. And then we also have quality scales, check weight scales from blinking on the name.
Yeah, it'd be from A&D. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And slight correction there. We've got WolfTech stretch wrappers.
Correct. Yeah.
Wexar Bell case erectors and case sealers. And then one thing was CTM label applicators and several different formats throughout the line.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. So how do you balance the art of pressing vinyl with efficiency and automation in packaging? And what parts of the line are now automated?
Well, it's interesting. Vinyl is a very manual process, and like I said earlier, the way that a record is made, we literally smash plastic between two pieces of metal, and magically comes out of that at the end of the line. But that process hasn't changed in a long time, over 75 years. So when we decided to start looking at what pieces of the process we could automate, the packaging side made the most difference, because it's where the most touches are, it's where the most personnel exists and resides, and it really was where the most opportunity was. And there were two different things that we were looking at when we started identifying what pieces of the process that we could automate, and those were the quality of the product and then the efficiency of the product. Because I have a pet peeve, and that's when I go into a record store or go into Target or Walmart and I look at a record and I can tell the Memphis product by how baggy the shrink wrap is. Austin can tell you. I was a bit on a rampage for a while. I'm like, we have to be able to do better than this. We have to be able to have something that is a first impression that's a lasting impression, so that people, if they do know that it came from Memphis, even though our name is not on that product anywhere, at some point down the line, someone's going to know it came from us, and we want to make a lasting impression on them. And so just something as simple as the quality and the tight wrap that you get from the shrink wrap line, to the way that you can have consistency in the application of the label down the line, to the counting and the case, the case backers. It's interesting, they're the last thing on the line before the application of the carton label, and they're probably one of the things that people pay attention to the most. They're like, oh wow, that's fancy, that's crazy what that thing is doing. But just the number of touches that we've been able to remove from that process. But it's also allowed us, you asked, how do we balance that with the quality, is that by removing some of the hands from the process, it allows us to actually put our eyes back on the process. Whereas, in the past, we had somebody frantically counting a very fast moving shrink wrap line and conveyor into a carton to make sure that 25 were in each carton, and then the label was applied and the box was manually closed. All of that is automated now, so the person standing before the case packer is actually looking at the quality of the product that's coming down the line. And the same thing at the back end of the shrink wrap before it goes into label application. They're, instead of frantically trying to correct the deficiencies of a bad shrink wrap machine, they're actually able to look at the quality of what's coming out of the machine. So it's allowed us to actually shift our focus away from the frenetic and frenzied nature of what you have to do in a hand pack operation, to actually using our eyes to check the quality, to make sure that what we're shipping is, it's representative of who we are.
Excellent. Yeah, so I understand that you've quadrupled your capacity over the past 2 years. Tell me a little bit about some of the trends that you're seeing that are kind of fueling that demand.
Well, the big thing that changed the vinyl record industry is the same thing that changed the world back in 2020, and that was COVID.
Right.
So apparently, while people were at home mixing up sourdough batches and riding their Pelotons, they were clearly listening to vinyl records at the same time while they were quarantined in their homes. And the demand for vinyl, it exploded, and it's hard to overstate how crazy the demand became between the end of 2019 and 2022. In the first 5 months of 2020, the first 5 weeks of 2021, we booked what would normally have taken us 4 to 5 months to book. And so to see that volume come down in such a constricted pipe, it was overwhelming. But the two things that, from our perspective, that we see that really drove that are the collectability and the experience. So as you can see behind me, collectability is a big thing. People want to have a tangible expression of the art form that they care so passionately about, and they want to display that in their homes, whether it's on a shelf or it's hanging on a wall. They want to display that the same way we wear t-shirts that for the band that we love the most. So the collectability side. And then just there's been a growing trend, not just in this industry, but in the world at large, towards the things that are physical, the things that we can actually tangibly connect with, whether it's growing a garden or whether it's all of the many tangible hobbies that people have gotten back into. But the experience of actually listening to a vinyl record requires you to be engaged. You can run with a song in your earbud all day long and have no idea what you just listened to. But in order to place a record, to listen to it, you have to take it out of the package. You have to appreciate the package. You have to clean it. You have to place it on the turntable. You have to be present for 22 minutes because the record's going to run out and you're going to have to flip that over. So there's been a drive and a growth in our culture towards things that have that tangible expression of the art form they care so much about.
Right. Like the kids say, touch grass. Do you feel like maybe it is kind of like the step away from the technology for a little while and exist outside of, some machine?
Exactly. We want the IRL experience, right? We
Right.
want, can you actually go do that in real life? Oh yeah, you can do that in real life. And and there's been many studies that have shown that the way analog playback of music affects our brains is so different than the way digital music affects our brains, that it actually allows our brains to experience the music in a more relaxed state. So people ask us all the time, which one's better? Which one's better? Is it vinyl or analog or digital? Analog or digital? Which one is better? It's like, it's not about what's better. It's just about what's different.
Right.
We feel like it's better, but it's better because it affects you in a different way.
Right. Yeah. I personally love that sort of hiss of the needle on the record, that experience that you mentioned. So yeah.
You mentioned the collectability of vinyl. Are there any specific materials maybe you use in terms of your packaging to help protect these collectible pieces?
Well, there certainly are. Shrink wrap is the number one thing. When it comes to this particular application and brand and type that we use, that's a Nick and an Austin question. But there are many different ways that you can protect the record. The shrink wrap. There's a outer packaging called a poly bag, which you're able to remove, and you're able to put the record back into that. But it's interesting. We get asked the question occasionally, actually not as often as you would think, about whether or not our shrink wrap is something that is recyclable, but is, especially in the collector world, which 50 to 60% of what we produce goes to the collector market. Even if it's the novice entry level, people are buying that to put it on a shelf and to collect it. The shrink wrap actually never gets removed. They might slice it at the edge to remove the LP, but in order to retain the marketing sticker that Austin referred to earlier on the outside, most of the time what we see from the consumer side is they're going to retain that. And so they just want it to be presentable. Like I said earlier, I have a pet peeve of seeing baggy and low quality shrink wrap on the package. We're really wanting to protect the materials that are inside. So we try to use something that is as clear as possible, that has as low a footprint as possible when it comes to the environmental impact, but provides a good seal, and also is robust enough to to be able to go through all the different hands that it touches until it gets to the consumer.
Yeah, and I'll expound upon that a little bit further too. I mean, really, I think the genesis of our partnership, centered around shrink and improving that, that painted on look. We don't want a loose bag around the record jacket. We want a painted on, finished, prime look of the record, and that's when we started our relationship and trying to optimize the shrink systems you had there, and then ultimately moving into different shrink systems and different, shrink polyolefin material. But it's not necessarily a specially designed polyolefin shrink material for record jackets, but is a unique material that we're utilizing that's a thin gauge, and it's considered low energy, in that it doesn't cause harm to the product on which it's shrinking, as far as buckling or pulling corners in or anything like that. So that we do have that nice pristine painted look, nice shiny painted look of the film on the record jacket after everything's finished. So it is a little bit of a black magic, so to speak, but it takes some thought behind it, and like Brandon said, ultimately the goal is to have a quality record that collectors can be proud of when they have it.
Yeah, and those are two great points, in that you want it to be invisible, kind of like the protective cover you put on your iPhone screen, right? You want it to be there to protect it in case you drop it, but you don't want to be to see it when it's in operation. And we want it to be robust enough to handle all of the different touches that it's going to see down the line, without it constricting the LP in any way. Because if you think, we're making a record that the consumer wants to be flat, and there's potential when we're sending a vinyl record through a heat tunnel to be sealed. There is potential that could be sealed too tightly, or the heat tunnel could be too hot. It could move too slowly through the tunnel. So there's a bit of magic just in getting that right Goldilocks mix of transparency and durability, and the tightness of the material before you actually push that too far.
Thank you. Nick, are there any sustainability benefits with the specific shrink wrap they use?
Yeah, I mean, so the things we're taught in school about sustainability, right? Reduce is the first one. Reuse, recycle, the 3 R's that we grew up with. I think reduce in this case is the first one that we're practicing, because it is a thinner gauge material than historically was used in this space. There is recycled content polyolefin shrink material available. It tends to be a little more cloudy and not as a pristine finish, painted on look, but can be utilized, and I think we have done with the MRP group in certain applications when their customers, being the artists, have desired that, and so we can kind of cater as needed depending on the customer set and consumer. Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, kind of going along with sustainability, look at like time and cost savings. How has automating the packaging line sort of saved Memphis Record, in time and in money savings? What sort of savings, both from the time perspective and from cost savings, have you experienced?
Well, I can let Austin maybe speak to a few particulars, but I know that, in this year alone, the demand from our customers has been really high. And so we've been under a tremendous amount of pressure to increase output, but at the same time while reducing overhead. And so those two things can be diametrically opposed. It's challenging sometimes to increase output without increasing overhead. But the what we've been able to accomplish on the automation side, specifically in the packaging, the post pressing part of this of the process, really has been game changing for us, because we've increased our output tremendously just this year alone, probably in the last 8 months, while keeping our head count historically very low. And that is almost all tied to the automation that we've been able to put in place, whether it's the automation in the packaging line to the ability to better capture the metrics of our people. But so much that we've been able to do is able to allow us to keep those overhead costs down while increasing our output. So Austin, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, just from what you've seen this year.
Yeah. I mean, I really just, hit it spot on in the fact that, it requires less people to do the same job and can actually do, a higher output, a higher throughput than we were able to do in the past as well because of this automation. We first needed to figure out how do we, get this stuff packaged up in the box out the door, solve for that first, right? How do we get this stuff, out the door on time with the resources that we have? And then once we got to that place of, this equipment allowing us to be a bit more consistent with our processes, we can then start to look under the hood to start refining things further, using the relief that automation gave us for managing this larger workforce, that now down to a smaller workforce, having those resources, that time to then evaluate the processes and then make tweaks to procedures even came as a result of us getting more efficient at what we do.
Yeah, just to put a few numbers to that, we've probably grown 20 to 25% in our output, just in the amount of records that we're producing and shipping in the past 12 months in our MRP, with a head count growth of probably somewhere between 10 and 15%. So it's maybe not 15%, but it's quite a bit lower than the actual output we've been able to achieve. The head count we've had to expand has been significantly lower than that.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
In terms of your operators, how has automation changed the way your operators interact with your packaging line?
Yeah, Brandon touched on it a little bit earlier, but it's less. We're a lot less reactive. We're a lot less needing to keep our head down and do things physically with our hands, but rather it allows the operator to then more so check for the quality of things going down the line. Now we're able to dial these lines in and this equipment in to consistently provide the results that we're looking for, and that has allowed us to then be able to take a step back and really watch the product as it goes down the line, catching anything that we may not want to go out the door. And so it's I think it's made the operator's role in the day-to-day a lot easier.
And to add to that too, Austin, right? And inherently that means worker ergonomics and worker just general comfort and happiness in their daily life tends to go up, because they're not worried about repetitive, I got to do this, I got to get it done. It's more about, hey, let's make sure everything's running smoothly. Let me refill things here. Let me check quality there. But I think in general, they are happier folks on the floor than they were,
Yeah. Reduction in, both physical and mental stress.
Definitely. Thank you. Sheri, do you have any questions? I have one last one.
No, I'm excited for your final question. I see it here at our list. So take it away, Sarah.
Right. Austin, Brandon, Nick, if you want to chime in too, you're more than welcome. If your automated line were a musician or a band, what kind of sound or personality would it have?
I'll let Austin go first.
Oh, I'm drawing a complete blank. I don't
Like, what artist or band would it be, or what sound or personality would it have? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, whichever you think fits more. You can go either way.
I think now in our packaging facility, we are definitely more of an orchestra, whereas 3 years ago we were a punk rock band. So it is a lot more enjoyable to experience and partake in now. Even there's nothing wrong with punk rock, but you can only take so much, right? But I think it's much more of an orchestrated environment now than it was several years ago, and that is in large part due to just Austin's leadership in the room, but the partnership we've had with Atlantic and just really fine tuning that automation side.
We love that. That's a great analogy.
I'm sold on what he said. Yeah.
It was a great answer.
Yeah. So thank you so much to Brandon, Austin, and Nick. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a great conversation with you, and we really appreciate the time you took today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having us, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Go get a turntable, buy some vinyl records.
I'm like looking at your t-shirt, Brandon, and I'm like, where can I get one of those?
You can. Hey, mrpswag.com.
Yeah,
I'm there. Sold.
I thought the same thing. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks so much.
And thank you again, Brandon and Austin from Memphis Record Pressing and Nick from Atlantic Packaging. We had a great conversation with you guys. And if we're ever in the area, we're going to make sure to stop by. Right, Sheri?
Can't wait. That would be the coolest thing ever.
So, Sheri, if you're ready, it's time to move into the game time segment.
I love game time. Let's do it.
Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. So to tie in to our vinyl ambitions, our music vibe we have going on this show, I mentioned there was no ceilings. So let's tie into a little game I call Song Mood Debate. This game will give each other a scenario, and we'll have to argue which music genre or song best fits that scenario.
All right.
Does that make sense, Sheri? You want me to go first?
It's all part of my rock and roll fantasy, Sarah, so let's do it.
All right, round one. The plant's morning shift is about to start. Everyone's getting into gear. What song is playing in your world, Sheri?
It's got to be Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. That's going to get you pumped. You're going. You're like, yeah, I can take on the world. I can do anything. Yeah.
I'll do two.
Okay.
Renegade by Styx.
All right.
And You Don't Know by Jay-Z. That one's like, pow, pow, pow. I'm ready to fight. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. All right. So let's say that your conveyor line just got a major upgrade. What are you playing?
So mine is by Flo Rida. It's called Right Round. For a little backstory, there's a sushi restaurant that has conveyors very close to my house. I go there quite often, and every time I take videos of the conveyors, I always use that song. So Right Round by Flo Rida.
I love it. So I would do, because I feel like, you really want to get fired up because your line's going to be like cranking away. So I would go with my songs Know What You Did in the Dark by Fall Out Boy, because I feel like you want to light it up. You want to just like get to work. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Round three, end of shift cleanup. Everyone is wrapping up.
All right. So I would say like one of the funnest songs ever to me is Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. I feel like it's like, hey, let's get it done. This is so fun. Don't stop me now. I'm having a good time. Yeah.
Everyone's wrapping up. What about like Thunderstruck by AC/DC? Get real excited. Everyone's wrapping up. The day's about to be over. Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
All right. Round four. It's a Friday at 4:45 p.m. and the song you are playing is
Just Got Paid by Johnny Kemp. Just got paid. Friday night. And now we're going to get copyrighted. So I'll stop.
I thought that was an NSYNC song.
No, there may be another one by that name, but no.
That's what they sing too. Did they remake it?
Hey, maybe, I don't know. Oh, this is news to me. I didn't know.
And they say money, 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 money.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you have to pick Friday by Rebecca Black. It's Friday, Friday. Got to get down on Friday. I can't sing, and I know I can't sing. I never tried to pursue that, just so you know.
That's okay. All right. So, yeah. So you just finished an episode of the Downtime. So I'm going to take one from one that you already said, and that's Thunderstruck by AC/DC. Because
Oh,
I feel like when you have finished listening to the Downtime, you have been thunderstruck because we're just that cool.
I didn't mean to step on Sheri's cape.
That's okay. Go ahead. What are you playing?
Britney Spears, Stronger.
Love it.
Stronger. Yeah, there we go. So that's it. That's the game time segment for the week.
Yeah, so let us know, what songs would you have chosen for each of those scenarios? We would love to hear. You can make some comments over on our LinkedIn page, which, if you're not following us, please give us a follow over on LinkedIn at The Downtime. You can also follow us at the.downtime on Instagram. You can check us out at packagingoem.com, at plantengineering.com, and at controleng.com. And you should be listening to us. You can do that at YouTube, where you can see us as well, and SoundCloud and Spotify as well. So check us out. Go give us a follow. We'd very much appreciate it. And we'd love to include you in the conversation. So send us some comments over on LinkedIn. We will answer all comments. Drop us a DM if you want to be featured on the Downtime. We always love interviewing folks. So give us a follow.
Yes, thank you, Sheri. Yes, make sure to follow all across all those social media platforms Sheri just mentioned. But I'm going to side. It's the end of the episode, Sheri. I'm just announcing it. It's here. It's inevitable. It always comes back around.
I know. Well, thank you so much, as always, for joining us on your Downtime, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye.